As much as the liberals and the mainstream media want you to believe that there's some sort of leadership crisis, I do believe that that is some sort of manufactured event to cover up this horrible liberal prop slop. So welcome back to the Freedom Pines podcast. I'm your host, Jamie A.B. This is where we debrief and discuss pop culture and politics from an independent perspective. And if that interests you, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and share this with your friends because it's hard to get my name out in Commie Canada. Let's get into it. So this singular page is what this video is going to be about. It is one of the pages in the many of the 23. And I'm going to go over why this one page out of the 23 is all BS nonsensical lies, okay? Now, I have been taking notes all weekend, okay? What concerned me the most and what I want to talk to you guys about, because you guys know I am horrible at math. I don't understand math. All I know is that spending a ton of our money decreases the value of our money, okay? So I know that. I know that $70 billion is not a good thing to have in a deficit, all right? But what I'm better at is looking at the propaganda that the liberals have put out and dissecting it, okay? And I've already re-recorded this, so I realize that I can only cover a single page. So let's get into this page. As we face challenges, Canada's new government is acting decisively, said MarkCarney in his campaign speech. We will protect and transform our strategic industries, build a stronger economy, and invest in ourselves. Budget 2025 makes generational investments while maintaining Canada's strong fiscal advantage, a foundation that allows us to invest ambitiously, responsibly, and build Canada's economy to be the strongest in the G7. Now, I want to talk about the title of this before I get into that, because it says Canada can achieve its ambition. That's what? Yeah, can, because we're not. Anyways. And then it says, our Canadian advantage. Despite challenges, Canada remains strong and has what the world wants. Talent. A skilled, educated, and adaptable workforce. You mean a workforce that's full of unions that have a bunch of strict rules, protect people who probably shouldn't be protected. Now, here's the thing. I believe that some unions are still doing an honest job to protect the employers, okay? But I think a lot of them, okay, are working for someone else. Could be the WEF, could be whoever is implementing the DEI measures in every single workforce. So a part of me thinks that some of them do actually still work and are honest for the people that they're supposed to be working for. But I will say that that was rumored to be why the Amazon warehouse was closed down, was because they were trying to unionize. Now, they say that that wasn't true. However, you know, if you're a business, you're going to be looking at that. By the way, we are an educated workforce because all of us millennials and Gen Z were all told that if we went to school for whatever we wanted, then our life would be great and we'd be able to afford things after that. And that's honestly not coming true for a lot of people. So I'm not so sure that that's a plus. Anyways, the next one, resources, critical minerals, clean and conventional energy, and agri-food. Do they mean cloned meats? Is that what they mean? That they could just provide a cloned meat and not have Health Canada label that? Is that what they mean by that? I don't know. Because the next one says market access, okay, but that's not what it talks about. I don't even know. Investment attractiveness kind of goes with this resources one, because here's the thing. The red tape is insane. It takes years to get a permit in Canada. We are so not attractive to invest because of taxes, because of permits, and all of these DEI rules that you need to follow. We are not pretty, okay? When you're a business owner, Canada does not look good to you. It looks like you could make a bunch of money, but then you look into it and you know that you never could because of all of the regulations and taxes. And then it says market access, the only country in the G7 to have a free trade agreement with all the other G7 countries. How is that true? How can they get away with putting that in there when we all know even the dairy industry from Quebec has made sure that American dairy doesn't take over, which is so weird to me because you can't get Quebec dairy anywhere else other than Quebec. So I don't understand. And not only that, Wyatt Claypool's right. If it's the pasteurization process and the cleanliness and the standards, then just make sure that whatever they're importing over here has to be held up to Canadian standards. Easy as that. If we really had free trade, then why have so many sawmills left Canada or gone out of business? Despite noting tariffs as one of the main reasons why they're leaving, that and all of the regulations, taxes that they have to pay, and it is no longer profitable to run their businesses here. So one of the next ones is my favorite. Okay, resilience, a strong social safety net, and stable institutions. You shut down our businesses. You have started ripping out property from underneath businesses' feet in British Columbia. What part of that makes it seem like it would be like anybody would want to invest in Canada? And not only that, I don't know what they mean by strong social safety net other than they're going to bail out every single business that's going out of business in Canada. And by they, I mean we, and whatever money that the invisible money that they print to invest in these businesses, while they don't put a clause in the contract saying, hey, if we invest in you, you have to stay. Because that's how stupid they are. And not only that, I don't know, does CRA go after large businesses? Because I've seen them absolutely annihilate small businesses. So even if you're a small business, there's not much incentive to invest in Canada. The next one is my absolute favorite one. Rule of law, a robust, reliable financial system, an independent judiciary, and transparent government. Reliable financial system, when and where, because if you guys go on TikTok and type in scammed in Canada, there's a lot of people who have been scammed in Canada, had a bunch of money stolen from them, me being one of them. I'm sorry, what are the odds of two of the creators? Okay, I know I'm not main on here, okay? I have a lot more followers on other things, okay? But I am a creator who talks about these things. What are the odds that 2 out of the 10 creators, 11, 15 creators that we have that talk about the government, what are the odds that 2 of us have had a massive amount of money stolen from us? Moose and Aloose and I have both had almost federal amount of money stolen from us. Mine was $4,000 by a new Canadian, and one of my friends, I've told you guys 100 times, horrible person, ripped me off of my photography. And by the way, I had to pay the bank. They said I was in on this. They said I was in on stealing from myself and then sent it to collections, and I had to pay it off. I can no longer run my business in Canada. I am not the only person that this has happened to. Okay, I do not understand what they're talking about because none of our banks have, I don't know how so many Canadians have been scammed, and yet for some reason our banks don't have buffers to make sure that this isn't going to happen to Canadians. And not only that, we are known to have a horrible CRA, which is, Canada's version of the IRS. Okay, they literally rip people off like me. I owe $22,000 because they forced us off, made us take money, not from the EI that we pay into. No. They forced us to take CERB. Ours was a caregiver benefit. And then they turned around and said, well, you shouldn't have taken the caregiver benefit. You shut down our schools and our daycares. We call you guys tell us to take that, give the whole scenario, and you can come back years later and say, hey, I know we took it from you. I know we overpaid you, okay? But now we're relooking at this. We actually didn't take enough, and we're going to actually charge what we now say we owe you with interest. So $22,000, please. It's an embarrassing. We live in an embarrassing country. Then it says, investment attractiveness. Favorable environment for foreign investment that grows our economy and creates high-paying careers. Since when? Since when? We have an industrial carbon tax. You have to pay more to exist as a business in Canada. That is not pretty. to any business. If you're choosing between Canada and America, especially with their lack of regulation laws, which I have been screaming from, the top of the mountain, that if we become the 51st state because we are so poor and they have to take us on, good luck having a pipeline that would have been, all in on with everybody involved. They're going to do whatever they want. If Canada becomes America, good luck with that. And then tax competitiveness, lowest overall tax burden in the G7 on new business investment. So what happens if you've been here a while? What happens if you've been here for a while? Are they actively going to be taking away DEI measures? I need to know. Do people have to write an essay on how their business positively attributes to feminism to be able to open up a business in Canada anymore? Or are we just going to skip that? I hope we skip it. But one of these things says, I couldn't get over this. This is why I'm covering this exact infographic. Number 2 in the world for foreign direct investment confidence. You see what I'm talking about here? Number 2 best country in the G20 for doing business over the next 5 years. Canada is one of the top 5 producers of 10 critical minerals. We're the top 5 producer, so probably number 5, of 10 critical minerals. So I think that they could say that probably because there's 10 critical minerals included in that. You see what I'm saying? The wording that they use here. Number 1 most educated workforce in the world. And then they cite a union website. You think it's a good thing that we have the number 1 most educated workforce in the world when Canadians can't find a job at all? I don't know. So I remade this because first I read it and then went over it and it just took too long. So I thought I'd shorten it. But if you guys want more breakdowns of even this propaganda slop that they put out of the budget, this is just 1 page out of 23, okay, where they are convincing us that they're doing a great job and they're not even still giving concrete examples of how we are going to allow businesses to, skip red tape and stuff. No examples. Just here's what we say we're going to do. It's probably not going to happen. But here's what we're going to say, and it's going to look pretty, and then we're going to toast to champagne and laugh at all of the plebs who are outside of that bar who are stuck in the cold. Because that's Canada for you. And Andrew Scheer did a good job of explaining this part that I forgot to say. Canada has the lowest net debt to GDP ratio in the G7 and is one of the smallest deficits to GDP ratios in the G7, period. No comma. That's a whole sentence. Do you see what I'm saying? Confusing wording to make it seem like they're doing a good job. Canada and Germany are the only 2 G7 economies rated AAA, a marker of a strong investor confidence, which helps keep our borrowing costs as low as possible. Okay. But what about all of the rest of the things that I talked about? Why do we have so much red tape? What is for a long time, okay, you guys know the story that I went to go replace my, we had baseboard heaters. We needed something cheaper. You guys know I went to go redo my basement, put in solar panels. They were too expensive. I started looking into, oil and gas because I wasn't about to be a hypocrite because I was a hardcore vegan leftist back then. And that's when I learned all of these different things of why businesses aren't opening in Canada, why everything costs so much, and kind of have taught myself these things. So it's very interesting to me that the Liberals can come on here, put together this, looks like Word document to convince us that they're doing a good job without saying absolutely anything in the meantime or doing anything that's going to actually make sure that people, I don't know. What do you guys think is going to happen? Do you guys think that next week they're going to be able to, we're going to have an election? What are you guys thinking? I have no idea what I think anymore, judging by the gong show that was our media and how much they focus on Pierre Poilievre. To me, Pierre Poilievre seems like the only person who actually wants what's better for Canada, because they keep attacking him. And I have no idea why, genuinely. So let me know if you guys want to hear more of this. I'm going to talk about a lot more because, man, last week was a wild week and we need to talk about it. So that's why I'm here, okay? I want you guys to know that you matter, okay? You're here for a reason, and may the odds be ever in your favor. Let's take a deep breath. That is very well needed after the week of chaos in Canada. I'll see you guys in the next one.